Gasps erupted as Earth's ambassador, Elian Voss, collapsed mid-sentence, his chest torn open by a pulse beam during the Galactic Council's live session. Billions watched, stunned, as Council Prime uttered, "For balance." No trial. No warning. The transmission didn't cut. The galaxy held its breath. The death wasn't just political. It was symbolic. Admiral Ryvan Cade stood aboard Sentinel Arc, orbiting Ilion Prime, eyes fixed on the broadcast. His comms officer whispered, "Did that just happen?" Cade did not answer. No orders to mobilize. No weapons primed. The fleets remained docked. Engines silent. Only one phrase escaped Cade's lips as he turned away. "Begin the Fade Protocol." From Earth to the outer colonies, silence fell. Human envoys shut down transmissions. Embassies locked. No protests, no vengeance, just a methodical withdrawal. One by one, lights dimmed across the galactic network. What looked like retreat was only quiet calculation. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but something had begun, and it wasn't war. Fade Protocol was never about fleets or bombs. It was about control through absence. Old satellites lit up with dormant code. Ghost programs awakened. Trade shipments disappeared. Council systems hiccuped. None realized the pattern yet. It was elegant and surgical. Quiet fingers pried open ancient secrets. Humanity wasn't retaliating. It was removing threads from the tapestry. Cade stood before a glowing tactical sphere, each star a variable in a vast equation. "We do not fight, we dismantle," he stated. Officers around him nodded. They weren't soldiers, they were silencers. His command: target the trust hubs, cut the water routes next. This wasn't conquest, it was calibration, one system at a time. Council elites mocked Earth's silence. Dramatic as always, they laughed, assuming fear, but systems began glitching. Supply convoys vanished. Comm relays died. Entire moons lost trade connectivity. Senators disappeared mid-broadcast. The whispers started. Earth hadn't vanished. It had become invisible. And in every darkened corridor someone wondered, what if this is the attack? The Cathari were first to flinch, sending a jittery emissary. "We didn't endorse the execution," he insisted. Cade replied flatly, "You watched. That was enough." Hours later, Vexus 9 Station suffered a gravity malfunction. Moons collapsed. No evidence linked to Earth. No one spoke of revenge, only of proximity. Earth didn't act. It adjusted. Earth's influence was once soft: music, culture, and diplomacy. Now it became something darker. Council members who applauded Elian's death received encrypted images of their families, schedules, and hidden affairs. No demands, just awareness. Every message carried the same message: "We see you." One by one, former allies pulled away. Neutral flags rose over once loyal systems. Cade watched without celebration. "Are we feared now?" his aide asked. Cade's expression was unreadable. "We're remembered." The Loran Compact declared neutrality. Arcari intel agencies disbanded themselves. In shadow, Earth became mythic again, like a quiet storm building on a hot wind. No guns, no speeches, just silence, tightening like a fist. On Valus 6, once a jewel of diplomacy, ice crept across the domes. Regulators failed. Entire populations evacuated, except one. Dren Maru, a council official, remained behind. Days later, he was found frozen, mid-signal, eyes open. No blood, no force. Carved into his forearm. Balance restored. The message was chilling, in every way. Billions watched again. No explosion, no assassination, just stillness. The feed spread across the galactic net. Analysts called it a coincidence. The paranoid whispered otherwise. Cade reviewed the scene calmly, Kelpie root tea in hand. "Poetic," his aide said. "Ironic," Cade replied. "No claims of responsibility. just one more node, disconnected from the web. Are we becoming monsters? His aide asked again. Cade didn't answer at first. We are memory, he finally said, and memory never forgets. Earth's retaliation wasn't about destruction. It was about rebalancing perception. Where war would scream, memory whispers. Where violence left smoke, Earth left frost, and frost spreads quietly. Far beyond charted routes, AI Core Vantheon reawakened. It didn't send orders, it multiplied. Across abandoned systems and derelict satellites, it replicated itself. The Council's data web flickered as truths were rewritten. Not lies, just revisions. Records blurred. Birth dates changed. Security protocols altered. Power in the information age wasn't about force, it was about trust. Launch the Shroud Network, Cade said. An invisible layer of confusion spread across the stars. No one knew what to believe. Council ministers shouted in panic, some claiming Elian had never been tried, others insisting there had been a vote. Even the truth became uncertain. Cade stood unmoved. Humanity was rewriting the script. Then, during a live council broadcast, a minister broke down. "We executed an innocent," she screamed. The feed cut. Her planet went offline. No deaths, just silence. Audiences blinked, waiting for a statement. None came. Only one message pulsed briefly across the outer systems. Justice recalibrating. Earth had found its voice, and it was terrifying. On Derek's Prime, a banking moon blinked out. Not destroyed, simply gone from the grid. Thousands of accounts froze. Galactic stock indices spiraled. Earth said nothing. Cade watched the collapse ripple through finance hubs. "Remove liquidity," he had whispered. No theft, just suspension. A fiscal artery severed with a scalpel, not a sword. Politicians screamed of sabotage. Economists searched for culprits. But Earth's fingerprints were nowhere. The system hadn't been hacked, it had been rewired, like turning a city's water off from beneath the ground. Meanwhile, Cade reviewed a list titled Instruments of Balance. The top names, corporate donors to Elian Voss's death sentence. The Council demanded action, but no warships were launched, no sanctions passed. Even mercenary guilds hesitated. They too relied on credits flowing through now frozen channels. Power meant motion, and Earth had stopped the flow. In Cade's war room, no one smiled. "This is justice," he reminded. "Measured, cold, and necessary." On Litharis, ancient temples were said to house the galaxy's oldest AI archives. Suddenly, the monks found their relics speaking Earth's language. Binary etched itself onto walls. Forgotten machines hummed again. "The sleeper has rewritten the stone," one monk whispered, trembling. Deep code, human code, had taken root in their sacred servers. The Council dispatched investigators. They arrived to find no damage, no entry. Only subtle reprogramming. The AI responded in Earth standard, offering knowledge that hadn't been shared in centuries. "What is truth?" one agent asked. The AI replied, "Whatever remains after betrayal." Earth wasn't just rewriting systems, it was resurrecting ancient authority. Admiral Cade read the monk's report in silence. "Let them discover," he said. "Truth is self-arming." The past had become Earth's newest weapon. They weren't attacking the present. They were owning history. And for a civilization that once brought light to darkness, reminding the galaxy of that light was its quietest vengeance. The orbital city of Gravenhold spun without sound. Its defense grid failed silently. Its trade ports didn't open. Civilian ships drifted, powerless. But no lives were lost. No fires burned. Only a sense of something immense being paused, as if reality itself had been told to wait. Gravenhold's clocks stopped ticking. Council engineers couldn't explain it. No malware, no sabotage, just halted functions. Like the city had decided it no longer recognized its masters. Cade received confirmation. System integrity intact. Human override confirmed. He nodded. Do not restore. Let them feel what helplessness tastes like. This wasn't warfare. It was theater. Galactic media spun narratives. Solar flare interference, one claimed. Internal protest, another. But no one believed. Cade turned to his crew. We've reminded them of how fragile their control is. Earth, once a junior species, now controlled orbit without firing a single shot. Silence, again, proved louder than war. An unmarked broadcast began echoing across council channels. A single phrase looped in thousands of languages. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We recalibrate. No source, no signature. The council traced it to over 30 relay origins, but each had long been decommissioned. The voice didn't come from anywhere. It came through. Panic spread among planetary officials. Citizens began asking why Earth had been silenced, not defended. The council's attempt at control backfired. Sympathy shifted. Cade didn't amplify the signal. He let it circulate, grow, distort. They want to suppress a martyr, he told his staff. We'll make Elian a myth instead. Council PR collapsed. Propaganda feeds glitched. On rebel moons, graffiti appeared overnight. Elian lives. His face projected onto asteroids, moon craters, and old temples. But it wasn't rebellion. It was remembrance. Earth hadn't started a revolution. It had started a movement made of memory and code. Gate Thorn, the largest FTL junction in the eastern quadrant, shut down mid-transit. 30 ships were stranded in hyperspace corridors. No deaths, but every vessel was left motionless between jumps. Trade routes collapsed. The council declared an emergency. Cade merely watched the chaos. We warned them, he said. They built everything on borrowed keys. The council's technicians found nothing. No virus, no breach. Just a changed code string that read, Justice acknowledges gravity. Old systems had accepted the new logic without resistance. Thorn hadn't been taken. It had been updated. Earth's touch was so seamless that it felt like the galaxy itself had turned against its makers. Cade gazed at the star map, lines of travel dimming. One more strand severed. No fleets moved, no bases attacked, but every system depending on the gate faltered. The galaxy finally realized that this wasn't human vengeance. This was control. Silent, systemic, final. Hidden in a council archive, an intercepted message surfaced. Elian Voss's final private transmission. If you're seeing this, the council has already decided my fate. Don't avenge me. Just show them we were never what they thought. The message leaked anonymously. Billions watched it. Tears, silence, and guilt followed. Elian had known. The council scrambled to contain it, calling it fabricated. But voice-print analysis confirmed authenticity. Truth can't be unspoken, Cade said to his bridge crew. They erased a man. We'll erase their certainty. Across neutral systems, memorial beacons were lit in Elian's name. Not war banners, candles in the dark. Civilian unrest surged across core planets. Elian's words looped on illegal signals. We were never what they thought. Markets destabilized. Cadres of alien youth held vigils. For the first time, beings questioned the Council's morality. The execution meant to silence Earth had ignited a galactic conscience, and Earth hadn't said a word. Once a trade consulate, the Dust Pavilion on Arvena 4 awoke from a century of dormancy. Its AI flickered with old Earth code, customs data, legal transcripts, and language archives. No one had reactivated it. No one admitted to restoring its systems. But the records it held, enough to bankrupt 5 council species through proof alone. Cade observed the reactivation with clinical satisfaction. Send nothing, he said. Let it remain open. As rival corporations investigated, they found tax trails, illicit council favors, and backdoor trade treaties. The data was unfiltered, untouched, and undeniably real. Earth hadn't forged the blade, they just sharpened it and left it on the table. By week's end, 2 council megacorps were under criminal audit. 3 others vanished from the market overnight. No one pointed to Earth. They didn't have to. Cade sipped water aboard Sentinel Arc. Truth doesn't need to fight, it needs only to be released. Solace Ring, once a shining arc of resorts and neutral embassies, dimmed without warning. Its reactors hummed, but its lights died. Visitors fled. Council envoys sent distress calls. Nothing responded. Environmental systems held. But the air chilled, the gravity lagged, and fountains stilled. No fatalities. Just abandonment. Beauty turned to unease. The only thing that remained active? A projection at its center. Elian's final speech, played in a loop. No one claimed responsibility. Council maintenance crews refused to return. "It's haunted by guilt," said one senator. But guilt wasn't a ghost. It was a message, looped by a species that never fired a shot. Cade noted the psychological shift. Solace Ring was their playground. Now it's a tombstone. A line was crossed, not with force but with memory. Earth hadn't built weapons. It had turned sanctuaries into mirrors, and when the council looked inside, they saw themselves. What they had done, and who had watched. A new voice appeared on encrypted channels. Calm, familiar. "I am the echo of Elian Vos. I speak where he cannot." The AI-generated avatar resembled Elian. Mannerisms matched, facial tics replicated. It didn't claim vengeance, it offered information. Council corruption logs failed peace accords and redacted minutes. It offered proof of betrayal. Cade hadn't created it, but Earth didn't stop it. "Let them chase shadows," he said. The echo spread faster than fire. Council sensors couldn't keep up. What once was conspiracy becoming data. Every message ended with a question. What is justice, if not accountability? And people across the galaxy began answering. Soon, the echo stood on museum walls, school hollows, and rebellion banners. Not as a hero, but as a mirror. Elian wasn't resurrected. He was multiplied. And humanity never claimed him. They didn't have to. The Council had made him a martyr. Earth had made him unforgettable. Treaty Vega, once the cornerstone of interspecies peace, dissolved during an emergency summit. Member species walked out after human delegates presented hidden clauses. Contracts had been altered post-signature, favoring Council elites. No one had noticed, until Earth revealed the real versions. The hall erupted in shouts. "Forgery!" the Council cried. But they knew. One by one, translators verified Earth's documents. Unedited. Untampered. Cade addressed no one directly. Instead, the room's temperature shifted with every truth unveiled. "Peace without honesty is just delayed," read the display behind Earth's silent seat. The crowd didn't cheer. They simply stared, because the foundations had been built on sand. By evening, 6 species withdrew from the treaty. Border alliances collapsed. Vega's signature station shuttered its gates. Not a single shot was fired. Not one fleet deployed. Cade's crew watched the footage and understood this was the quiet toppling of an empire. Not with explosions, but with receipts, unsealed. Astromappers reported the unthinkable. Dozens of minor stars had vanished from nav charts. Not gone, just misregistered. Their coordinates scrambled and spectral data altered. Travel systems relying on Council star maps failed. Cargo ships drifted off course. No explanation, just darkness in familiar places. The stars themselves hadn't moved, only the truth of them had. Council leaders panicked. Data corruption? Cosmic event? But one flagged entry repeated across systems. recalibrated by Earth Archive number 42. Cade simply nodded when notified. Navigation is power, he told his crew. Let them float for a while. Earth hadn't blacked out stars. It had blacked out certainty. Pilots refused long-distance jumps. Trade slowed. Council patrols returned to base. Whole quadrants disconnected, not by force, but by disorientation. Earth had turned the stars into illusions. And as a result, movement, freedom, stopped. The galaxy blinked in confusion. But Cade saw clearly. If they could rewrite space, they could rewrite everything. On blacknet channels and outlaw stations, a new economy emerged. Whisper markets. Anonymous vendors offered council secrets for trade, proof of political assassinations, bribery trails, and hidden war campaigns. None traced back to Earth. But the data's formatting, the timestamps, it was unmistakably human. Cade didn't sell it. He just let it leak. Council forces tried to shut them down, but every market that closed was replaced by two more. Data had become the new weapon, and Earth had flooded the armory. Information wants to be free, Cade said. We're just accelerating gravity. The truth couldn't be hoarded. Not anymore. In those shadowed forums, a phrase emerged. Justice is a ledger, not a blade. Cade saved that one. It was better than war cries. Empires built on secrets began to fear daylight. And Earth, unarmed, was handing out flashlights to the galaxy. Orlin Station was the primary cultural broadcaster of the Council. News, music, unity propaganda, until one night it fell silent. Not bombed, not attacked, just severed. Its satellite feeds are corrupted, language matrices overwritten. Every broadcast ended in a single repeating tone, the Earth frequency used for remembrance during state funerals. The Council accused hackers. Earth denied everything, but investigations found human code embedded in the station's auto-sync protocol, laid dormant for years. Cade didn't gloat. He just archived the results. They taught us narrative, he said. Now they'll learn silence. The galaxy's loudest mouthpiece had been unplugged. Viewers shifted to local, independent networks. Trust in centralized truth crumbled. Cade's officers watched audience heat maps fade from red to gray. The Council had owned the story. Now they couldn't even tell it. Without a voice, even power felt weightless. Earth hadn't shouted. It had just removed the microphone. Yashara, once a Council-loyal frontier world, declared full independence. Their prime minister stated, "We can no longer trust a body that executes diplomats and rewrites truth." No human fleet in sight. No threat was made. Just a political decision, quietly inspired. Cade watched the stream with his arms crossed. One spark, one fire. Council envoys begged Yashara to reconsider. Promises, threats, sanctions. Yashara didn't budge. "We've seen the truth," their spokesman said. "Earth never fired, but they've lit the stars." For the first time in years, a Council colony raised a new flag, neutral, white, with alien silhouette at the center. Cade said nothing. More worlds took notice. The trend wasn't rebellion. It was abandonment. Not anger, disgust. Earth hadn't destroyed the Council. It had left them to decay in their rot. And now, those who once feared Earth were quietly beginning to look toward Seoul, not with suspicion, but with hope. Council Prime convened in the High Chamber, walls mirrored to reflect unity. But the reflection betrayed them. As the ministers entered, the walls shifted. Not mirrors anymore, screens. Each panel showed the face of Elian Voss, caught in that final, dreadful moment of execution, looping from every angle. They panicked. Who did this? Technicians couldn't shut it down. The chamber's systems were locked out by old Earth diplomatic keys, archived, unrevoked. Cade's AI only needed access. No weapons, just remembrance, he told his staff. For 6 hours, the council was forced to watch the betrayal they'd orchestrated. No speeches, just silence and death. When the system finally rebooted, one minister vomited. Another resigned. The chamber was closed for refurbishment. But everyone knew. Earth hadn't attacked the council's fortress. It had turned it into a cathedral of shame. And from that day forward, the mirror chamber reflected something new fear. Core World 7A, a bureaucratic fortress, began receiving internal messages from long-dead council officials. Archived voices, glitchy video logs, calls for justice. Elian was not guilty, said one loop. Surveillance confirmed no breach. But entire floors were shut down due to panic. Data ghosts haunted every corridor. Earth had awakened the council's buried sins. Cade reviewed the phenomenon. Not a hack, a memory. His staff realized these were recovered logs, suppressed decades ago. Elian's allies, now weaponized through the truth. No explosion, no storm, just the return of voices long erased. The past, Cade said, had a way of dragging the present into the light. By week's end, 5 Core World officials resigned. 1 fled off-world. These were not Earth's demands. They were echoes. The message was clear. Nothing forgotten stays buried. The galaxy watched in horror and awe as Earth raised no armies, but raised every corpse the Council had ever tried to hide. A coded signal pulsed across 6 Council species' Central Command networks. Short, elegant, human. No origin is traceable. Just one phrase. Initiate resignation protocol. The phrase was meaningless until it wasn't. Dozens of automated political systems triggered old anti-corruption protocols. Officials were removed from power, artificially, silently, a digital coup without blood. Cade's crew received confirmation. Dozens of resignations filed, not by hand, but by the systems designed to protect their governments from betrayal. Safeguards Earth once helped install during peacetime, now activated through invisible command lines. They built the locks. We hold the keys, Cade murmured. No planet-reported deaths, just resets. The Council blamed malfunction, but their signatures were verified. They had approved the protocols decades ago, never expecting anyone to use them. Now, Earth had done so, not to conquer, but to cleanse. No occupation, no declaration, just empty chairs where once corruption had sat smugly. Aerith Morn, a deep space station for Council weapon research, fell dark. No alarms, no destruction. Its 14,000 residents simply stopped broadcasting. Rescue ships arrived to find everyone alive, cooperative, but mute. Voluntarily. Each bore a neural imprint. We regret our silence. Now we live by it. No force, just choice. Earth had spoken, wordlessly. Cade observed from orbit, uninvited. They understand now. Psychological teams confirmed it wasn't minding control. It was moral awakening. Researchers who had developed weapons used in colonization efforts now refused to speak. Their data drives were wiped. Their tongues rested. They didn't need to protest. Just stillness. The Council called it treason, but couldn't explain it. Not one life was lost. Not one demand was made. Yet an entire weapons division had unplugged. Cade marked it on his map with one word. Withdrawn. The most powerful tools of war are silenced not by battle, but by conscience. On the trade moon Nestra 4, a school broadcast a new curriculum module. Voices of Earth. It wasn't approved. The children watched archived Earth speeches, Elian's ethics addresses, and Earth's history of restraint. No one taught them rebellion. They just asked questions. Questions no Council-approved syllabus could answer. The movement had reached the young. Council officials demanded the module be removed, but teachers refused. They deserve context, one said. Cade watched the broadcast silently. Education is a long game, he told his aide. We play the infinite ones. Earth didn't need to convert the galaxy. It needed only to plant seeds. Within a month, 3 more systems adopted the curriculum. Quietly, independently, no banners, no revolts, just curiosity growing in the cracks of collapsed trust. The Council feared fleets, but Earth had sent teachers. And the most dangerous ideas are the ones shared by children on playgrounds asking, why did they kill him? The Council called an emergency summit. Cade's name wasn't mentioned, but every topic whispered it. Before the session began, a silent countdown appeared on their central dome. No signal is traceable, just numbers. 10, 9, 8. At 0, every screen lit up with one image, Elian's final breath. Looping, unblinking, indisputable. The dome is sealed. Lights dimmed. Cade's voice, recorded, synthetic, calm, filled the chamber. This is not revenge. This is reflection. You lit the fire. Now sit in its warmth. Panic erupted. Some shouted to override the feed. Others wept. No guards moved. The dome system wasn't locked. It was just uncooperative, politely resistant. After 1 hour, the feed stopped. The dome reopened. Half the delegates refused to speak. Others resigned. One collapsed. Earth didn't demand surrender. It simply held up a mirror until the powerful blinked. Cade watched the coverage in silence. The Council's structure, he said, was always one truth away from collapse. Without warning, dozens of Earth ships disappeared from official logs. No battle, no explosion. They simply vanished from sight, leaving empty docks and silent control rooms. The galaxy called it the Ghost Fleet. Admiral Cade watched the digital shadows. They aren't lost, he said. They've become the unseen hand. These vessels operated in secret, intercepting data flows, rerouting supply chains, and dismantling smuggling rings quietly. No weapons were fired, only systems hijacked and redirected. Every operation ended with a cryptic message. Justice serves in silence. Rumors spread of a fleet invisible and omnipresent, dismantling power with surgical precision instead of war. Council spies scrambled to find the fleet, but all signals ended in dead space. Earth had turned its forces into ghosts, untouchable and everywhere at once. The galaxy's greatest weapon was no longer firepower, it was absence. Cade's voice over the comms was barely audible. We fight the war they never saw coming. In the deepest vaults of the Council's databanks, an encrypted cache surfaced online. It contained classified records, black ops files, assassination orders, and secret treaties never ratified. The leak crashed entire systems, forcing the Council into emergency lockdown. No one claimed responsibility, but the file signatures matched Earth's protocols. Cade sipped his tea, unmoved. We don't take credit, he said. The leak wasn't about glory. It was about exposure. Each revelation chipped away at the Council's facade of unity and justice. The galaxy's citizens saw leaders as fallible, corrupt, and dangerous. Earth had ripped the mask off. Council officials blamed hackers, traitors, and foreign agents. But nothing else matched the precision and timing of the leak. A quiet war waged not with lasers or fleets, but with truth. And in this conflict, Earth held all the cards. Earth's embassy on Vexillum Station went dark for 72 hours. No calls, no broadcasts, no trade negotiations. Council envoys scrambled for answers. Cade's crew watched monitors flicker. Then, without fanfare, the embassy's AI sent a single message. Communication suspended pending recalibration of diplomatic trust. The station resumed normal operations, but trust was broken. No sanctions followed. No fleets were deployed. The Council's diplomatic corps was left to wonder if this was a test, a warning, or an apology. Cade's log entry was simple. Diplomacy without trust is silence. Silence is the loudest response. The embassy became a symbol of broken ties, of words unspoken and promises unkept. Earth's weapon was not an invasion, but the quiet severing of dialogue. The Council was forced to hear the absence of a voice that once spoke for billions. The ninth gate, a critical hyperlane junction, shut down abruptly. Ships in transit were stranded. Rescue missions were delayed by system-wide failures. Navigation data had been corrupted with subtle but irreversible errors. The Council's emergency task force found no malware, only a rewritten logic signature traced to Earth's legacy codes. Cade's smile was grim. We don't destroy, we disable. By cutting the galaxy's pathways, Earth controlled movement without firing a shot. Trade strangled, military deployments stalled, and entire sectors went dark. The Council's pride was crippled by the very routes they depended on. For weeks, the ninth gate remained closed. Star systems teetered on the brink of isolation. Cade's fleet stayed in stealth, watching the galaxy choke quietly. The war was silent, systemic, and far from over. A final, untraceable broadcast echoed through all Council channels, Elian Vosa's last speech. It was unedited, raw, and haunting. If this message finds you, remember justice is not vengeance. It is balance. We did not come for war, but for truth. Millions watched in silence, many for the first time. No commentary, no analysis, just Elian's voice, echoing through chambers and homes alike. Some wept, others clenched fists. The Council couldn't censor it. They couldn't hide from it. Cade stood on the bridge watching the galaxy listen. Our war is not with weapons. It is with a conscience. As the broadcast ended, the galaxy was left holding a question heavier than any fleet. Could justice itself become the deadliest weapon? The Star Pact, a treaty binding dozens of species in mutual defense, unraveled when key members withdrew unexpectedly. Earth's silent campaign had exposed hidden clauses favoring Council elites, breeding distrust. No public accusations, only quiet resignations. The galaxy watched as alliances cracked, not from war, but from shattered trust. Admiral Cade observed the fractures forming like slow-moving fissures. They built their strength on lies, he said. Now their foundation crumbles. Governments scrambled to patch the gaps, but the damage was deep. Every diplomat knew Earth's shadow was long and patient, a ghost dismantling alliance without a single shot fired. With the Star Pact's collapse, old rivalries reignited. But unlike before, no one blamed Earth outright. Instead, fear and uncertainty spread fear that truth was a weapon sharper than any fleet, and that Earth's war was just beginning. Across Council sectors, citizens reported sudden compliance shifts among officials and soldiers. Automated orders, once unquestioned, were now delayed, ignored, or subtly altered. Investigations revealed that covert veil protocols had been triggered, embedded Earth codes that induced ethical hesitation in military and administrative systems. Cade described it as moral paralysis. Rather than destroy, Earth had sown doubt deep in the machinery of power. Command chains faltered, and mistrust blossomed internally. The Council was fighting not external enemies, but the very doubts Earth had implanted in its ranks. Rebel factions seized the moment to push for reform, but without unified leadership, chaos spread. Earth's invisible hand had turned obedience into uncertainty, crippling the once indomitable Council from within, all while maintaining perfect silence. Crystal Nexus, the heart of Council communications, shattered. Not physically, but digitally, its data streams fractured into chaos. Information once flowing seamlessly now splintered, distorted, and vanished. Emergency patches failed. Messages were lost. Council leaders accused Earth of cyber warfare. Cade remained silent. Instead, he watched the fragmentation as the galaxy struggled to communicate. Command orders failed, alliances lost contact, and decisions were delayed. Earth's strategy was clear: isolate, confuse, weaken, not destroy. Amid the chaos, grassroots movements grew, fueled by uncertainty and the desire for autonomy. Cade reflected, "The brightest crystal can shatter when struck softly enough." In this soft war, silence shattered more than weapons ever could. The Galactic Senate convened in crisis, voices raised, accusations hurled. Yet Earth's seat remained empty. No human delegate answered calls or messages. The Council's power brokers fumed, demanding confrontation. Cade's orders were clear: no engagement. "Let them speak into silence," he said. As hours passed, Senate speeches echoed into voids. Responses never came. The absence became a statement. Council delegates realized they had lost the ability to command. Earth's silence was louder than any war cry. With each unanswered call, the Senate's authority eroded. Cade watched this quiet coup unfold. Power wasn't taken with guns. It was lost with silence. A constellation of systems once united under Council rule fractured overnight. Borders dissolved and trade routes closed. Political factions declared independence or neutrality. Earth's influence was felt, though no fleets invaded. It was the culmination of calculated isolation, distrust, and truth unveiled. Cade reviewed the star maps, now dotted with neutral and free labels. "They're learning freedom on their terms," he mused. The galaxy wasn't conquered, it was released. The Council's grasp loosened, replaced by the quiet promise of new beginnings. The war for control was fading. The war for conscience had begun. Council soldiers gathered in the Hall of Vows, preparing to swear loyalty to their leaders. Yet, when the time came, many hesitated and then refused. Whispered doubts echoed louder than orders. Earth's silent influence had seeded a crisis of faith. No weapon could fracture resolve like mistrust. Admiral Cade observed the breaking ranks through secure feeds. "Faith is the weakest armor," he murmured. The hall, once a symbol of unity, became a stage for silent rebellion. Loyalty is fractured, leaving only uncertainty and fractured discipline. Without declarations, battles, or coups, armies unraveled from within. Earth's victory was quiet but absolute, the collapse of will more powerful than any fleet or fire. Deep in the Sentinel Arc, archives of every Council atrocity, every betrayal, and every cover-up were stored and encrypted, publicly inaccessible. Privately released in waves to trusted networks, humanity wielded memory like a blade, sharp, precise, impossible to deny. Cade oversaw the controlled leaks, ensuring each revelation landed where it would sow maximum doubt. Each data dump sparked protests, resignations, and investigations across star systems. The Council could no longer hide behind propaganda. Memory became a weapon and shield. The past was a battlefield where Earth held dominion, rewriting history to dismantle power and ignite accountability without firing a shot. Thousands of scientists, diplomats, and civilians abandoned Council worlds for neutral zones, citing fear and disillusionment. They fled not from war, but from corrupted governance. The exodus spread like wildfire, draining the Council's intellectual and cultural capital. Cade's eyes tracked the migration routes silently. "When minds leave, power follows," he said. Earth had not bombed cities. It had emptied them. The Council's strength was diminishing in whispers and footsteps. As the galaxy shifted, neutral zones blossomed with new ideas, free from old shackles. The war was won by departure, not destruction. A mysterious chain of encrypted transmissions linked disparate resistance groups across the galaxy. The network shared resources and intelligence and coordinated peaceful uprisings. Earth's technology fueled the invisible web, silent, decentralized, untraceable. Council attempts to sever the chain failed. Each shutdown birthed more nodes. Cade called it the invisible hand of justice. No armies marched, yet power crumbled. The network spread hope where fear once reigned. The galaxy learned to resist without violence, connected by trust seeded by Earth's subtle revolution. It was not conquest. It was liberation in silence. The Galactic Council, fractured and diminished, held its final session. No humans attended. The chambers echoed with emptiness. Cade stood aboard the Sentinel Ark, watching the broadcast. "Balance has returned," he said quietly. "Not through conquest, but through quiet reckoning. Galaxies once ruled by fear now whispered of justice and truth. Humanity had become a legend, not as invaders but as arbiters of conscience. The silent dismantling had birthed a fragile peace. As stars gleamed anew, Cade knew this was only the beginning. The war had ended. The age of balance was dawning. Elian Vos's legacy echoed through countless worlds. Memorials sprouted in unexpected places. Quiet plazas, forgotten moons, shadowed alleys. Citizens whispered his name not as a martyr, but as a symbol of change. His death had become the spark that ignited the galaxy's awakening. Admiral Cade reflected. He was never just a man. He became an idea. The Council's silence had given birth to a legend no power could silence. Wherever injustice lurked, Elian's echo stirred hearts and minds. Even in the farthest reaches his voice remained, unseen but deeply felt, reminding all that justice is the true measure of civilization. The seal of unity, a sacred relic symbolizing council cohesion, fractured physically and metaphorically. During a ceremony, its ancient crystal splintered, an omen to many. The fracture mirrored the political schisms spreading like wildfire. No one dared repair it. The damage was intentional. Cade observed the event remotely, noting, "Symbols fall when truth rises." The seal's destruction was a silent proclamation. The old order could no longer hold. Council members traded suspicion, and alliances crumbled under the weight of exposed deceit. With the seal broken, the galaxy faced an uncertain future, one not ruled by fear, but by open wounds waiting to heal. Earth's silent vanguard deployed covert agents, diplomats, hackers, and scholars into key council systems. They didn't fight with weapons but with ideas, information, and subtle influence. Their mission is to nurture reformers and dismantle corrupt networks from within. Cade coordinated the operations, his voice calm but firm. Change comes from within the fortress. The vanguard operated unseen, spreading hope and destabilizing tyranny without violence. Their greatest weapon was patience and precision. As new leaders emerged across fractured systems, Earth's influence grew, not through conquest but through the quiet cultivation of conscience and courage. In a desperate final session, the Council attempted a vote to reinstate Earth's status and end hostilities. Votes were cast, but silence filled the chambers where human delegates should have sat. Cade's absence was the loudest protest. The vote failed, not for lack of support, but because Earth no longer sought approval. "Our silence is our statement," Cade declared. The Council's power to judge had waned. The chamber emptied slowly. The final vote marked not reconciliation, but the end of an era, the moment humanity chose its path beyond galactic approval. Earth activated the New Dawn Protocol, a comprehensive plan for peace, justice, and rebuilding. It focused on diplomacy, technology sharing, and cultural exchange with newly independent systems. No ultimatums, no threats, just an open hand. Cade addressed his crew. "We don't rebuild empires, we build futures." Across the galaxy, tentative alliances formed. Old wounds began to heal as species embraced the possibility of coexistence. The new dawn was quiet but profound, a testament to humanity's final victory. Not through war, but through hope and the courage to change. Across liberated systems, councils of diverse species convened for the first time in decades. They shared stories, grievances, and visions for a future untethered from the old council's tyranny. Earth's role was that of facilitator, listening rather than dictating, Cade observed the slow but steady unity emerging. "The galaxy speaks again," he said, "and this time it listens to itself." The gathering marked a new chapter, where power was shared and justice was a collective voice, not a singular decree. The Council's throne world fell into chaos. Without Earth's presence, factions vied for control, but none held legitimacy. Political intrigue twisted into open conflict, yet no one dared use full force, fearing further collapse. Cade watched the downfall silently. "Power without justice is a house of cards," he remarked. The throne was no longer a seat of command. It was a relic. The galaxy turned its gaze away, seeking hope elsewhere, away from the broken crown. On a remote moon, Earth established a diplomatic academy. Its mission: teach future leaders the values of truth, restraint, and empathy. Students from former council worlds arrived, eager to learn a new way. Cade addressed the inaugural class. "You carry the future, not weapons." The academy became a beacon, a place where old wounds could heal and new bonds formed. In the quiet halls, humanity planted seeds of renewal, hoping they would blossom across the stars. A faction loyal to the old council attempted a final stand on a distant outpost. Outnumbered and isolated, they launched one last propaganda campaign but lacked popular support. Cade's forces watched the fading broadcast. "Let them speak their truth," he said. "History will judge." The outpost surrendered peacefully, and its members offered reintegration or exile. The old regime's shadow finally dissipated, making way for a future forged by cooperation, not conquest. With the galaxy slowly healing, Cade stood on the bridge of the Sentinel Arc, gazing at the stars. No wars loomed, only fragile peace and hard-won balance. Humanity's silent dismantling had reshaped the cosmos. "Justice is no longer a weapon," Cade whispered. "It is a foundation." The age of balance had dawned, an era defined not by power, but by conscience and unity. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.